Music Theory Lesson Number 3. Here we are going to cover our accidentals in more depth. Also, we are going to get into bar lines, double flats, and double sharps. I'm also trying out this new format for a YouTube video, just experimenting with different things. Let's see how this goes. Excuse the noise in the background. There's a lot of activity, both outside and inside, with dogs barking and whatnot. So here we have what is called the double flat. What this does is lowers a note by a whole step, which, as we know, is also the equivalent of two half steps. This looks like the flat sign placed next to another flat sign. So two flat signs is a double flat. If you look at our keyboard graphic here, which I discovered it's easier to just take a picture of my keyboard and put it on here rather than try to draw it out. Makes life a little easier. So if we had an A double flat, that would be this note. We wouldn't call that a G, even though technically it is the note G. We would call that A double flat. So A, down a half step to here, down another half step to this note. They are enharmonic, the note A double flat and the note G. The same note, but we would call it A double flat. It's just the rules of music. Let's say we had a C double flat. This would be this note right here, which it also is the note B flat or A sharp. They are enharmonic, but we are calling it C double flat. Now we have the double sharp, which raises a note by a whole step or two half steps. This looks kind of like the symbol or the letter X. And yeah, it's basically the opposite of a double flat. So an A double sharp would be this note. We go up half step and another half step. There's our A double sharp. Now let's say we wanted an E double sharp. Same thing, we go up half step, half step. We end up on this note right here. Also, we have what is called a bar line, which is when we read sheet music, you'll see these bar lines that are placed at the end of a bar or measure. I'm going to get to this a little later in more depth, but for now, it's important to mention this in relation to accidentals. But there is a little more to it. But for now, we'll just be very brief about it. So here we have some written sheet music, and here are our bar lines right here, and so forth. So in music, we would call this whole thing a bar, or more formally, we would call it a measure. So this is measure 1, or bar 1, measure 2, or bar 2, and so forth. Notice that we have a little number right here, the number 6. And this is common in music. You see this little number right here. It's basically telling you which measure or bar that you are on. So this would be bar 6, because if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we don't have to count each time. It basically makes life a little bit easier. So now, the reason why I want to explain bar lines is for this reason. When you have an accidental within a measure, the accidental carries over. So right here we have an F sharp, and then we have another F. That is still F sharp because it carries over, even though that is not written. However, in this next measure, we have the letter F, or the note F, and it is natural because it's a new measure. So that does not carry over. Now we have an F sharp right here, and here an F natural. So note that we have to put that natural sign to keep it natural, or if we don't, it'll be like this measure and it'll be an F sharp. Here, A flat, G flat, F flat, E flat. So all those notes are flat. In this next measure, these are all natural because none of these flats carry over across the bar line. Now right here, we have an F sharp, and then we have the F an octave higher. When the note is in the same bar or measure, but is at a different octave, generally, for the most part, it is not going to be carried over. The accidental will not. So this will be an F natural, even though it is that same note. And even in the notation software, when I, put that F up here, it counted it as a natural. And the notation software will, often do certain corrections based on, the conventional rules of music. This next note, we have an E flat, and note that I had to mark this E that is an octave higher with a flat sign, so that flat will carry over. Same thing in this measure, D sharp, an octave higher, had to put the sharp, C sharp, an octave higher, had to put the sharp. Sorry if when I repeat things it sounds a little tedious, but I just want to be very, clear with everything. And oftentimes I find that repetition really helps to, drive things home in terms of memory. So I will repeat things often. Here we have F, F sharp, F natural, cancels out the sharp, F sharp again. Now we have our double sharps and double flats. So if I play out this measure on my keyboard, which happens to be this keyboard right here, this is what it will sound like. So note that this note right here, this is F double sharp, F, F sharp, F double sharp, and the note G, same note, A double flat, we go to A flat, A double flat, also a G, and then the note G again, which is the note G. So yeah, these are all the same note. It's just spelled differently, but they are the same note on the keyboard. But note that, there's nothing being carried over since this is an F double sharp, this is a G, an A double flat, and a G. So written wise, none of these notes are repeating, so nothing's being carried over, if that makes sense. Well, that looks like all of lesson 3. Oh, another tip here. In reading music, I mentioned this before, but when you want to find a C on a piano, just find the group of 2 black notes and go to the left of it. That white note will be a C. So same thing here. There's our C. To find a note F, look for our group of 3 black notes, go to the white note to the left of that, and there's our F. So it's cut out right here, but these are 3 black notes. And there's the note F. Also, when reading in the treble clef in particular, a quick trick to learn how to read the notes is if you look at the 4 spaces in the staff, spells the word face. F-A-C-E. So we see that this note's in the first space, so that's F. Here, second space is A, and so forth. So just remember face for the spaces, and for the lines of the staff, every good boy does fine. You might have heard of that expression before. That's where it comes from. So there's our E for every, G, good, and so forth. Didn't get to some higher ones here. There's our F. Actually, there, yeah. So every good boy does fine. So our F is right there. And our F lower than that is on the space for face. So again, it would be good for you to memorize, or be able to figure out very quickly where each note is using these different tricks, and also to know where the notes are on the piano using those tricks with the groups of 2 and 3 black notes. Thank you for listening to my lesson, and I will see you on the next one.